So here's my
Absolutely.
question, because I like to get really, really practical. How do we effectively be present, get present? Because there's so many distractions
Mm,
going on. And there's just so much stress in life, and just like, I don't know. I would like to say that in my parents' day and age things were easier than nowadays, but realistically, I think every generation has their issues and their challenges. But with everything going on in our personal lives and in our external lives, what are some ways that we can actually effectively be more present?
mm,
So one of the things that I often think about is putting down the distractions and what is a distraction. So I think it's doing an assessment in your own life about what is it, where are those, I guess I call them energy leaks.
Mm.
So what are things that are where places where you're leaking energy in your life? So for me, I can say it's scrolling on Facebook, I'm over on LinkedIn, and it's, it for me, it's like I realized after a time that my battery is just really depleted. And that's
mm,
time that I could be doing something else. I could be reading, I could be spending time with my husband or, with my children. And it's kind of setting limits and boundaries
Mhm.
around your time. Um,
mm.
and I can say quite honestly that I haven't been good about that, but I'm
Which,
working
You're
on it.
human.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So it's an area for growth for me, a place where I can grow, is setting a time limit on how long I'm going to be on social media, for instance. Or, if my kids come and talk to me and I'm in the middle of watching a show, who cares? At this point, everything I can, it's on Netflix or some other streaming app, and I can go back and watch that. And, I'd rather have that time with my kids.
Right.
Right, right.
So, but I think it's really recognizing, where we have those energy leaks, and then, being honest with ourselves about, our priorities.
Really, Baruch, you're asking a very, very powerful question. And Jen in the comments is on fire as usual. She was saying, being present, it's a conscious choice, and there's a lot of practice involved. She's 100% right in this. And what you're saying, Mindy, is about understanding that there is a time and a place for everything.
Mhm.
And like we all try, we all are somewhat addicted to our technology in a sense. And the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, the Netflix, whatever it is. And sometimes our kids really, really need us. And I've discovered, at least with my children, um with the youngest, with the toddler, 10 minutes is more than enough for that child, and then tired out, and all he wants is his sissy and go back to bed. With the older ones, sometimes it only requires about 20 to 30 minutes. They want to be heard. They want to talk about their day. They want to talk, and it's something that we were discussing. I don't know if it was in these live shows or another place, but I remember as a child growing up, I had a teacher, and he randomly just one day gave us a, a thing of chocolate. And the way it works with this, it happened in Israel when I was in Israel. Um, the chocolate in Israel used to have 24 squares on them. And the teacher just randomly gave one to every single student. And that was like, wow, thank you so much. And then after he gave it to us, he looked at the children and he asked, could I just have one square? Just give me one square. Out of all the 24 squares that you have, could you not give me? I mean, I just gave you 24 squares. Please give me one. And the lesson that he was teaching us is that we're given 24 hours in a day. Can we not give one back? I mean, he was trying to teach us a lesson about God. So give back, give God 1 hour of your day. But I learned that in every aspect of my life. Towards parenting, I take that into parenting. I will give my family a minimum of 1 hour a day, at least. Could I not do that? And that's what's coming to me. And to me, it's about staying that grounded and understanding what are my priorities at the end of the day.
And Jen had mentioned too, being present is about redirecting ourselves back to now, just like we direct our kids as they develop. And
Hmm.
that's true. I used to think that I was a failure at meditation when I would try to
Wow.
meditate or sit quietly, because my mind was just pinging all over the place. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm failing
Mm,
at being still.
Right.
But I think that one of the things is that that is part of that process. And, the more we struggle with that, then I think that makes it even more frustrating for us rather than recognizing that it's natural, it's normal for our thoughts to go different places,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of make a big deal out of it rather than just like kind of chilling with it and like, oh, okay, that's normal. It's all right. And
Right.
so I think that that's part of staying grounded as well, is recognizing that we'll have competing thoughts and competing um, emotions and things like that, because we're going to
Right.
feel the pull of those other things,
Mm.
and that's okay. It's
Right.
acknowledging that, but then as Jen had said so well, redirecting it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that I've just recently covered with one of my counselors was this idea of is my desire to be so far ahead compared to where I
Mm.
am. And so there's certain, as you're building a business, you have to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Or as you're maintaining a family, you have to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And we're so focused on trying to get there that we're having these failures or things that we're deeming failures now, when in reality, in this stage of our life, with what we're going through now, we have to be aware of what is our present, what is our here and our now, and
Right.
then what is realistic for where we are now. Right now, it's not realistic for me to be doing ABC. I should be doing DEF. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but that's the thing. And it's the same thing with parenting is right now, okay, I would love to be able to have these wonderful, amazing experiences with my son. But right now, all he wants is, like Jeremy said, 10, 20 minutes of my time playing cars, and then in the future, we'll be able to do, the bigger things. Cause, I took him out to we have a place here called Adventure Landing. It's like a go-kart and mini golf place. And I took him there one night and he absolutely loved it. But honestly, spending 20 minutes at home playing Legos with him is probably the same value. So it's, I think one of the things that I'm getting from all this is understanding in my current situation, what is what is the expectation? What is truly what needs to be done? How do we be present right now? And then in the future, we'll deal with being present in that form later.
I think that's a really good point, because so often it's like, and when we start to think about the future, then that we do think about, what we're we're kind of forecasting ahead what's going to be needed, and but we need to be here and now to build the skills. And I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you, especially when it comes to my business. I'm thinking that I need to be I need to be a TEDx speaker, or
Yeah.
I need to be a best-selling author. But it's how I show up each day, the little things that I do, the little habits that I create now, the conscious choices that I make that help me to move. And then I get nudged, and I kind of plateau a little bit, and then I'm like, and I catch my breath, and then I get those nudges again, and new opportunities show up, and then that's when I go on to the next thing. But we're
Mm.
trying to run when really we're need to just take the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna highlight one more thing Jen is saying.
Jen's on
she's,
fire.
she's really on fire here. And she's really talking to something that I always say, which I took from a movie I was watching with my sisters once, The Princess Diaries, where that she says something like a queen is never late, everybody else is simply early. So I
Yep.
also I also took that, but it's for me my way of staying grounded in the sense of like everything's gonna happen on time, on its time, and if there's ever a reason for something to not go as planned or whatever, there's a master plan that's working that's beyond our control, and so everything is just really happening on time, and everybody else
Yeah.
is simply early.